Thank you. Thank you, Renee. We appreciate that. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Verify we do have a quorum. For the board members present, Tom is joining us online. Jerry is also joining us online, and then John Strike visits. Mark did place the verification of the meeting notice was outside of the office approximately a week ago. As he knew it was placed. At this time, we'll do the pledge of allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic one nation. At this time, Jody, we'd like to approve the June 23rd, 2025 board meeting minutes. We have a second. Is there discussion on the minutes? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of the room, please raise your hand. Tom, verbally. Or raise your hand.
I approve.
Thank you, Tom. Motion carries unanimously. Jerry, are you able to hear us? I believe he was going to remain muted. All right. We'll wait for the audience to get settled here with some VIPs around. At this time, we do have number 5, which is the architectural modifications and review committee report, the presentation of 5 revisions to the ADS. Laura, if you'd like to come take the podium, I will try to follow. Yes.
Separately as we've done in the past.
We are indeed. We find her, the Madam Chairman feels that's the best fit.
So hello, I'm Laura Severance, co-chair of the modification committee. My co-chair the Dorothy should be online with us. Is that right? And then we have 3 other members of the committee. Frank Hoppy, who is in the audience, and Steve Santoro, and Michelle Bob. So the 5 of us committee, especially for you new folks on the board, so welcome. It's thrilled that you're leading our community. As your modification committee, we are we're here because the covenants, conditions, and restrictions require Breeze declaration of covenants, conditions, and restrictions of CCMRs. Your modification committee is tasked obtaining the original design plans, the aesthetic integrity, and uniform permanent the entire community to retain and increase size. So that's one goal, not just for your modification committees, but for serving any community in your community. That's one goal, and the reason why we have all this in the first place. In order for the team, that's your required application committee. Most communities call that an architectural design or CCMS qualification. So we serve the community, and we have found in doing so that in the architectural design standards that we inherited from the declaration originally in our community, at times and as we continue to progress as a community, there's lacking of guidance, or there's areas that weren't thought of or just didn't pertain to our community. So as that happens, the modification committee is responsible for promulgating the architectural design standards for the community. And in so doing, we'll put together changes to the ADS and then we bring them to the community for discussion and approval. And that's why we're here today at 5 of those that we'd like to discuss with you. when we are proposing any things, we make sure that we study the CCNRs, we make sure that any direction or guidance that we're choosing to promulgate into the standards goes along and with the CCNRs. We also try to make them easily enforceable. So okay, we have rules in a community, but if they're not easily enforceable or ridiculous, then there's no reason to have them. So we work really hard as a committee to ensure that they're very reasonable. And that's why we like to discuss them. Once we ground to that guaranteed to experts, when we were making roofing changes for the community, first, we discussed all kinds of different things there. So we make sure to try to do as much research and diligence, we explore other communities and look at what they're doing to ensure that we are being reasonable and making sure that our camp community association manager who helps run our committee can enforce all of these the areas. And we also make sure as a community that we encourage exterior modifications to your homes. Our number one goal is to maintain and increase the value of the community. And when a homeowner wants to make an improvement to the exterior of the home, we do nothing but want to make sure we help you go through that. And that ABS, the architectural design standards, are as clear guidance so you know what you can do. And if there's ever a question about anything, the modification committee is always open to anybody for questions. So today we have 5 updates that we'd like to discuss. We're just going to go right in through them. This is sort of the overview, but we'll hit each one individually, like Julie said, do a discussion after each one. Vote on each one. So our first one is adding exterior lighting headings. That's currently on our ADS page 3 under general provisions number. But we'll go to the next slide. You'll see that the change is highlighted in yellow, written in red. Everything that's in white is currently in the ADS. So we're talking about outside lights, and they shall not contain lamps greater than 75 watts, 1100 lumens for 15 LED watts per fixture. Outside lighting shall be clear and white glass only. No colored glass or colored lighting is allowed. That's not the change. We are adding trim and roof line lighting is not allowed, except during the November, December. Let me tell you how the patient came to that rationale and why we are recommending. We feel that this standard will maintain the nighttime ambiance of the community. It's pretty important that we maintain community. That's right there, CNOs. This guidance strictly applies to permanently and semi-permanently hung lights along gutters, roofs, soffits. So any part of your home that you might be trying to install something permanently, this is what applies to it. This does not address the interior lighting in your lanai cages. That continues. That's not the type of lighting we're talking about here. And this does not prohibit the holiday. Any questions?
At this time, we look for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second? Makes a second. At this point, we would ask for the board to have a discussion, and they can also entertain owner's comments as well. Board, any comments, considerations?
Looks like we have a couple of people in the audience. Would you like
Sure.
to
Yes, sir. Your audience, just a reminder. Please step up to the microphone, state your name, and then any conversation will be from the microphone, please.
That's just easier for everybody.
I think I know.
Mark, is that on?
So Dennis Lundgren, who is a former chair of the modification committee. Thank you, Dennis. Your question.
Yeah, my question regarding this, if you have recessed lighting in the eaves, you're saying that's not going to be allowed?
No, I'm not. If you read it on here, it's semi-permanent or permanent lighting that you can see. So if you have recessed lighting.
Okay, so if you have tall worships in your eve that shine down the face of your house, that's
Yeah.
allowed.
Those are absolutely, that's different from the roof line and trim lighting. I know this sounds crazy, but we've done a lot of research on it.
Yeah.
So the
I
recessed
just want to make
lines,
sure I understood.
I
When you
appreciate
said eve, I got the impression that you couldn't do any lighting in the eve. I wanted to make sure that was clear.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
Other comments?
Same, yeah.
Thank you, Rich, for stepping to the.
See no other questions, anything more?
No, nothing online.
Seeing no further questions, we'll close out the questions. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Mark, who's your hand? Okay. Tom Heaslip, agree?
Agree.
Okay, that's passed unanimously. Next,
Thank you. Our second one is, same thing, we're adding additional, guidance in addition. So people who are adding additions onto their homes in Hawaii. This is currently in on page 3, number 8. Again, you'll see that everything black and white there currently exists, and we're adding the third one. But just to refresh, home additions, rebuilds, home additions, expansions, and garage additions. We're limited to 2 stories. Lots must be used as single family homes. May not be combined to account. Third, what we'd like to add for clarification, additions must be connected to other portions of the residence in a manner that gives the entire residence a singular appearance. And the rationale for this, we would eliminate single out buildings. So something that was just a single unit out in the corner. It clarifies only for a moment. And we clarify that additions must be attached to original residence to appear as a single residence, which is what we're community. That's what we have currently, and that's what we do to maintain the community.
thank you, Laura. Do we have a motion to approve? Jody, do we have a second? Pam makes a second. Board discussion on this matter. Board discussion, do we have any audience discussion?
Anything online?
Seeing none, I'd ask for a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Heaslip, verbal.
Agree.
Okay, that passes unanimously as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Our next change deals with drainage, roofs, gutters, downspouts, drainage, walkways. 6 is still on page 10, number 4, current ADS. And replacements, and we're just looking to clean up the language here. We brought in several different roofing specialists as we continue to grow as a community, as Southwest Florida grows. And experiences, weather changes, and experiences. We're going to be looking at roofs and replacements. And there is new roofing material as well as technologies continuing to in Southwest Florida. States, but usually Florida leads the entire United States and it's because we've experienced it. Okay, so this area pretty much sets the standards. So our current ADS requires that be maintained in the style and color originally established by the community. Taking out the word original. We still want the replacements to be maintained in the style. But we have homes that have some old roofs. There are new solar types of roofs that are becoming an opportunity for the future, particularly when the price comes down. Metal roofs that don't look like metal at all. An amazing. And then there's more. So we wanted to make it as an opportunity to make sure that our community keeps our ADS open to being able to accept the changes when they come. So that's why that is being taken. And we're also taking out, so it said established by community and shall be consistent with community materials. We'd like that removed so that when newer different materials that are probably better in the future are available, that a homeowner has the opportunity to take advantage of it. So we like this to read without that yellow portion. Other than that, we're not adding anything. We're just cleaning it up to allow for the future technology that I'm certain is going to be continuing to be developed.
Thank you, Laura. Do we have a motion? Jody, thank you.
Second.
Renee makes a second. Discussion of the board, with regards to this EDF. Seeing none on the board level. In the audience, questions? Please, sir, I invite you, approach the microphone with your name, please.
Dennis Lumber. I have a question on the line that you're striking, the setup shall be consistent with community material.
Yes, so,
That seems to leave the whole thing wide open. Doesn't. When you look at metal roofs, you look at whatever else might be coming out, plastic roofs, whatever. You're saying that's okay, as long as it's painted the color that matches the community.
but the line right before it, so the whole line says replacement shall be maintained in style and color established by.
Yeah, well, style can be the same, color can be the same, it's not going to be consistent with the materials of the community. I think that's important to maintain in this, and you can still get rid of original things that change. That allows you to accept that, but it certainly wouldn't change the whole aura of the community, because you want to keep it so flexible that anybody can do anything without you having any beat to stop.
That's fair, that's a fair point, that's real fair point. We felt that, no, thank you, we felt that, by keeping the maintained in the style and color established by the community, took care of it, meaning, when you drive around the community right now, we have an established style and color. So anything new coming in needs to meet that current style and color. And we have a few metal roofs in the community. They're not 100% metal, but we have partial metal roofs. And we, after Irma, went from barrel tile roofs to flat roofs. At the time, we actually did have 3 or 4 flat roofs, tile roofs in the community. We definitely do not have asphalt roofs in the community, nor expect to be approving asphalt roofs in the future. And we feel that by leaving the line in that says replacements shall be maintained in the style and color established by the community, that we're all set. It's just like currently,
If you've already said you don't want asphalt, where would it say that in here? I could have an asphalt shingle. That's the color of the community. You have no grounds to stand on.
style and color. We do have,
Style. It's the same style as any shingle. That right now is the flat shingle. That's the style. I think you need to consider modifying this so you have really what you want to achieve, but saying it in a way that doesn't let you or force you to approve something you maybe don't want to 5 years from now, when you have some other kind of weird material they might come up with. And because we have a few metal roofs that are on entrances to some of the homes, I don't think that's really the style of the whole roof itself. Is it metal roof? I think would not be consistent with this.
I feel comfortable with the revision here, and I'll tell you why. I appreciate your input, Dennis, so I absolutely appreciate it. I always appreciate your input. It's always well thought out. Thank you. My feeling on this is that it leaves enough opening for new technology to be used by a homeowner with that opportunity. But it maintains the modification committee to move forward with the change. So If any change in the roof has to have an application, it must be approved by the application committee. And I don't necessarily always be on the modification committee, although it does seem like that happens. But there will be changes. And we just wanted to make sure that currently there are several different types of roofs out there. And there are lots of communities that are moving to those types of roofs. So we wanted to keep that option open in this community.
Like Wall Street shine, if you use the word style, color, and material. Because you can buy asphalt shingles that are like a flat tile. You know, that we have many of these roofs now. They look just like them, but they're asphalt. I think we should allow that. Because the material is so different. There are steel roofs coming out that look like the towers, right, but they're steel, but it's a different material. That we should not just allow it unless you establish. The next word there, establish the fact that we could, but if you have the material in here, I think it would negate some of the downside of saying, hey, look, it looks just like it, it's in the style, it's in the color. Yeah, it's metal, but it looks like flat tile. Really, we really want to start defining that?
She has a modification committee, that's exactly where it is. Yes. Because when you start researching the different types of roofs that's being used currently, is actually not, it's great roof, don't misunderstand me, but there are other opportunities coming forward in the future that we need to make sure we have available for the whole city to be replacing their $50, $70, $80, $100,000. We need to have.
But if you come and say, look, I want to put this on, it's not yet established a committee and established it, so yes, that material will accept it. I don't know, it just seems to leave the door wide open for someone to come on and put something entirely different than what these houses have there.
And welcome to the modification committee's world. And we get that, and we totally understand that, and guess what we're trying to explain to the community as possible. And the committee felt we needed for our community is the opportunity for them to be able to research those other options when they're not having to replace a roof, so that they can explore all opportunities. And there are other opportunities out there than just the specific clay tile roofs that we have.
And Rich, if you go down and then the road just a little bit, looking side heading east, there's a church down there. It's a Greek Orthodox church that I understand actually put on barrel tiled metal roof. And one of the questions that I know the application committee asked when they had a roofing contractor come in, because I was really concerned about the noise it would make with the pounding rain. And they said with the new materials and the way the underlayments in place, that has become much less of an issue. Certainly if you live in the house with that type of a roof, he said you couldn't hear anything. And he said the neighbors adjacent to that home also wouldn't be able to hear anything. And some of it, honestly, I got to tell you, was pretty surprising. I know, Frank, I think you were there as well in the room, and something Laura said earlier was they really did do their due diligence in terms of what's new that's coming out. I will tell you, I think in honesty, I think there'll be hesitation because all of these applications tend to be much more expensive as of
It's
today.
incredibly expensive right now in comparison to the thing that is in the community. There's no doubt about that. And we're not talking about plain metal rusted roofs. That's what we're talking about. So, but we do feel an obligation for our fellow owners that do have to replace a roof, that the options for these different kinds are there for them.
May I extend this as asphalt primarily?
Asphalt isn't the issue. The issue is it could be some material. We don't know what the heck it could be right now.
And that's
The
exactly, That's
It
exactly.
look, I have the color of the community, but I don't think it's consistent.
Well, and that's where actually, so Dennis,
If you want to use any material that they ever have. Then why don't you just strike the word materials?
we did start the word.
That way you're still saying it's gonna be consistent with the community. And then you've got a way to say if it's really not consistent as to why it is, even though it's the same color, the same pattern, the same style. But it just doesn't look good.
So that's.
And that's what your job is, to make it look like it's consistent with the community.
Feel that we're definitely satisfying that requirement. And when we researched and brought in the different vendors and they brought their samples of what they do have in these different styles, it was unbelievably amazing how it looks just like a barrel tile roof or the flat concrete, the tiles that we have now. And you couldn't tell that it wasn't a tile roof, but it was made of the other materials. Now, when we talked, okay, what kind of price are we talking about? It was about 3 times the price of a tile barrel roof, so guaranteed. Most of the people in this community that have to replace the roof are probably gonna go with the tile roof still. But in the future, those prices will come down, just like anything else. So we just want to be prepared for it. That's part of our job. You know, if it always was a specific color, and that color is just an example, not talking roof stamp. We've always allowed this widget, and that widget is now out of style, out of whatever. Requiring that widget still, is that really what's best for the community? So, and that's what your MC is looking at for you. By the way, the architectural design standards that we're recommending changes to, these are a living document. They can be modified again in the future if something were to come up that, you know, say, well, that is not what was meant at all. Gosh darn it, that damn Dennis, one of those things, like, they can be changed again. So this isn't set in stone. But it will be once we go on it for right now.
Sure. Thank you for that discussion. I think we're gonna close off public comments. Is that okay with everybody? Oh, I'm sorry. Gentleman stepped up. Please go ahead.
I know that the MC does maintain. It establishes the style and color that will be permitted. So I think we're here is why not style, material, and color, because you're still establishing. And I imagine that if there was something ridiculous that was coming out of the market, you would establish that that's not permitted. So if you put materials in there, would that be consistent, yet still giving you the latitude to establish what is permitted?
It makes it difficult, Tom, in that then you have a whole slew list of materials you don't want to allow, a list of materials you do want to allow. Oh, wait, there's no materials we didn't even know about yet. So by eliminating that, we still maintain the style and the color consistent with what is established in the community.
But do you not want those several materials that you do not want at all? If you have the word materials in there, you then can establish what isn't, at least puts
We're comfortable
what's the
that
thought process in your hands.
we're comfortable that the application process takes care of it.
Mark, did you notice a lot?
No, sir.
Easy, we don't need.
I do apologize. One just popped up and it kind of goes out of order a little bit. It's Grandpa Ray. Going back to the additions. There's a talks about a specific home, which I'm not necessarily gonna say the address, has a single car garage addition and connected to the home with the roof and breezeway. Will something like that still be allowed?
It's considered a single structure because it is connected. So, question. The home that's on a corner, Corey Drive, Corey Drive.
Circling back to the motion. Currently within thing. Renee is the acting chairperson. Would you like to call for a vote?
Yes. Could you let me vote? Or could you vote?
All right. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And Tom Burke.
I agree.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next up, Laura.
Thank you. Next up are lanai closures for existing covered lanai. This is on page 15 of the current ADS number 3. We need to remove some language. This was in the same paragraph of that is not consistent in the court. Number 3 says side wall must be installed. Smart window to show consistent shows. And that side wall in a duplex type of home, or patio that are connected via walls that share walls. We don't have any shared walls in the community, so we just need to make this one doesn't make sense for the community.
Thank you, Laura. Jody makes a motion. Do we have a second? And second, discussion at the board. Online,
Yes, sir.
in the audience. Easy. Closing discussions, all those in favor, raise your hand. And Tom, verbally.
In favor.
Motion carried unanimously. Next up, Laura.
The next one is just, we're combining 2 different areas of ADS into one. We realized that we, page 19, we have information about treatments in the community. And then, in the ADS, we have information about doors and sensors and screens. And so we're going to move the information on page 19 about window treatments. We're just going to slide it up. So if you look next, there we go. We're just moving the yellow. There's no change to that verbiage at all. That's exactly what is currently in the ADS on page 19. It's going to eliminate it on page 19 and put all in. So everything that has to do with windows is under the windows in the ADS. That's it. No verbiage change at all.
Thank you, Laura. Do I have a motion to accept this change? Do I have a second?
Second.
Renee seconds. Discussion at the board level. Seeing no discussion online, Mark,
No, sir.
in the audience. Right, seeing no. At this time, all those in favor, please raise your hand. And Tom verbally.
Agree.
All right, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Laura, all right. Now, the exciting report. Now that Laura has been all excited about ADS convocations. So the first one, general manager report, community services. As many of you know, we have completed tree trimming of the hardwoods and palms this year. We do trim the hardwoods every other year. Mainly that's oak trees in particular. The palms have been completed. As I do whenever I bring the subject up, remember certain palms are self-shedding palms. They're the ones with sort of a smooth trunk, if you will, or smooth root. Those we do not trim, only the ones with the notches or the boots, as they're called, are the ones that we trim each year. In addition to this, we do trim back Hong Kong orchid. Many people have contacted me that we completely decimated Hong Kong orchids throughout the community. They grow like weeds. The best thing is to take about 75% off of a Hong Kong orchid. What allows it to do is it allows it to get a much tighter canopy, grows back much more lush, a lot better as far as the overall tree health. So those are the Hong Kong orchid. Some of the trees we don't particularly cut would be, say, the
old
cypress trees, as well as where we were.
Royal
Poncianas, we don't cut, those naturally move out, so. Overall, we have moved, for those who've been in the community for a while. The reason we do the trimming of the hardwoods and the palms is not only for tree health, but also for hurricanes. And it seemed kind of counterintuitive when we were out in Iraq about 5 years ago. We were doing this trimming in the October, November timeframe, potentially right in the middle of hurricane season. So over the last 3 years, we've been slowly moving it up. The goal is to get it done on or about that early June timeframe. As far as making sure that those are completed for when we do have the hurricane season starts, which is June 1st. Any questions about hardwoods, palms, trimming, things like that? As a reminder, if you do live in the coach homes or you have a custom home, those are completed by your own associations or by yourself. Next one up, power washing.
Well, I got a question about trimming.
Trees.
In your 14 years, this is the worst experience I've had with trimming. Those collusive shrubs in our yard, they keep saying, oh, they're gonna come, they're gonna come, they're gonna come. Well, I've got those goddamn blue things up in my since May, and now here it is end of July, and they're not trimmed. I'd like to know when they're gonna come to my house and trim those collusive.
Great question. So your name.
Chris Makes.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. That's right. We had a conversation last year.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I went with your broke guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, I'm kind of, I shouldn't talk like I talk.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife gets on my case all the time. Well,
Chris, where do you live? What's your address?
64 Marblestone.
Right. So we're halfway through the community. I would think in the next 3 to 4 weeks, you'd see that come through. We're doing the seasonal cuts.
Just keep in mind, prior to this year, when we had, actually prior to this contract, when we had DTE was not even responsible for trimming the inclusive, so this is something that we did add to this contract with this new vendor, so it's, we're gonna do a hard trim and they're about halfway through or 3/4 the way through, which is something that we had never done before, that would have been at a homeowner's own expense. So it's a great addition to the community.
Well, just my here.
We appreciate that.
Scott, doesn't the schedule for trimming it's available online, is it not?
Sure, there's 3 subjects we're talking about. So I started with tree trimming and hardwoods and palms. I think we wrapped that up. The gentleman was talking about our annual hard cutbacks of collusive trimming. And Jody, you brought up a great point. Online, we also have our monthly trimming, which is more of a shaping type for collusive and things like that. So there's 3 different things that we're about. Hopefully that's answered all 3. All right, next one, power washing. Again, later on, I think it's in August, we'll be doing sidewalks in later August. And that will be Rolling Suns. Also, it's a newer vendor for us this year.
Scott, I know we're only doing sidewalks this year, but I noticed when I drive down Weatherstone, the street looks like it could stand a power wash.
Mother Nature takes care of that for us.
That's the other.
So I don't mean to be flip about that. So what happens is under the oak trees, as they drop berries or their fruit that they're dropping, it develops a orange and then turns brown or black. Underneath the oak trees in particular. As it rains, as the sun beats it, it will actually pick up.
So it will be a cost savings.
Well, no, we don't, we've never power washed the streets themselves.
Savings here.
Access control report, we know it's throughout the community. Every month we continue to just keep updating, keep coming up with different ways to take up access control. Mark and I have been out there tracking down, they're all been minors. So far, we've had 25 minors. I see that big mistake. It's 25 minors have been cited over the last 100 days. Typically, they're kids coming in going fishing. So typically, 100% of them. Kids coming in going fishing. Some of the initiatives that we've taken so far, we are taking this very seriously. We've put up vegetative barriers along West Quarry Drive. That was done, and Limestone Trail along Golf Course 17th hole. That was done the last number of years. Sidewalk gates were installed last year, both the entrances, with no trespassing signs. The bike lanes were gated at both entrances. We did reset last summer, all vendor passes. No trespassing signs at the front back case I mentioned. We added 30 additional signs that are small and I'll show you them slide what they look like. So lane, near the back front gates at Lake 49. And then the Collier County Sheriff's and certainly as far as writing tickets. For those of you who are wondering, we no longer do verbal warnings, which is the typical process. We go immediately to ticketing the minors. That mean, or the individuals, whoever they may be, so that way they're on record. If they come back a second time and are ticketed, then they actually go before a judge and there'll be significant penalties for them, so. Here's what we've been doing the last month. As you can tell, I mentioned these 30 signs. As you're going along the front entrance, Stone Trail, the back gate in particular, we have 7 of them back there. All of these areas where people are coming through the bushes or opportunities, as we call them, we put these signs up. We've also included 6-foot calusa that we've installed. You'll see them here by the front gate. As you're coming towards the front gate on the right-hand side, this goes all the way down to the riprap now. There was a little opening there. Along the Stone Trail, all these top 2 pictures where people were cutting through the coastline, we block those up. So again, we're doing quite a bit to make sure that these children and the e-bikes don't come fishing. The next one on the rear gate, I took the picture a little bit late, but we actually moved these boulders around in the water. So that way you really have to, essentially, if you're on an e-bike, you're gonna hit one of these suckers, potentially. And make it a little bit more challenging to get around that gate. The other thing we did, if you look along the back pond, on the opposite side, we put in 2 rows of eureka palms. Some of you who have eureka palms know that they're pretty spiky and pretty dense, not necessarily something fun to ride a bike. And we've really gone into the water, low water line here to make sure that we're stopping those folks who are running around this. Any questions about access control? Things we're doing to help supplement all the things that we've done. Another thing that the Ownership Experience Committee has asked me to do is to reach out to our current vendor and see cost and see how quickly we can implement the trap system back in the back gate. Certainly there's some challenges there when we look at trucks with trailers coming through or boats, things like that. We have to be careful if there's enough of a spot for them to get through, they don't get trapped in the trap. So some things to be considered, but again, we're working with our vendor to get that tightened up as quickly as possible. Any questions about access control? Next, 4th of July survey. Many people have been filling out our surveys. We really appreciate it. I'm going to be pretty efficient with how I go through the surveys because I have a landscaping survey that's included in your package as well as the 4th of July survey. 4th of July, saw 2 things that came out of it is that we had 412 people attend. We had all 412 people were undercover. That was an important thing for us this time of year, since the rain, the weather, things like that, was affected. We think 400 is that magic number. From a parking standpoint, from getting everyone undercover, as far as making sure everyone has a great time, and whatever the city can pull. So here we see how we should rate the overall experience of Beach Club. Keep in mind this is a 5, 4.5 is a very good rating. How satisfied we feel the taste of the food. Again, the top 2, the green and the blue are we combined. The other one is neither and dissatisfied or consistent. So we like to see these numbers in the upper quadrant there. Given the event pricing, how would you rate the overall value? That's something that we heard in our town hall meetings are the others seeing value in what we're doing? So yes, we are seeing value in that. And then the fireworks display meet your expectations. For the most part, yes, but there's still some no. This year we did have little hiccups with fireworks. We had a boat come near, so we had to stall between the main fireworks and the final grand finale, I guess it would be. So there's a little bit of a delay there. We think we can get that straightened out next year. Did you park at the beach club? Everyone parked at the beach club, which for 412 people, I purposely went up there at about 7:45 and checked. We did have all of our staff park over at the golf club, and the golf club was very accommodating and allowed us to do that. Thank you for the golf club members and the board over there for doing that. But we weren't able to get everyone carpooled, everyone, we had 133 people join us from the other N4 community. They did pay us additional charge over what our owners paid. They paid $20 more per person. But as far as parking, that seemed to work out okay for this event. Lots of golf carts. How satisfied you were with the setup of the event? Overall, as you can see, the blue and green lines here, people were very satisfied or satisfied, except for the two people that were just. And again, we found if we can do things better. We knew that when we started looking at how long we had to wait to get the grill light up, we're gonna change that up next year a little bit. We had our team talking about that. Now, this next one, my team threw me for a loop. How would you rate the service provided by your server during your business? I'm looking up here for green and blue. So they did these backwards out of me, and so the higher numbers are actually down here as far as the servers. These are the satisfied and above average and far above average. So this is actually a good chart, although when I saw it, I was fine. And then the last, how's your profession of the staff during the event to the 4.8%? This is the second year that we've done the 4th of July fireworks. We keep learning quite a bit. I'll tell you from our team standpoint, we think it's a real winner. We think that by allowing the 4 group to host some other events throughout the summer, this one really lends itself well to your beach club. Any comments about the surveys or the board?
No, sir.
I think it was very fun. And did a great job.
With this survey, we do try to set up surveys for these festivals. I encourage you, I think we have numbers, but please fill out these surveys. It's meant to take a minute and a half to 2 minutes. That's really what I'm looking for. If you have any comments, we welcome those as well. We review them. What we do is we take this, layer it over a P&L. We report back to the board of directors. Hey, you spend the right amount? Was our food cost where it needed to be? Was the pricing appropriate? Did you as owners find value in what we're doing? So please, these surveys are a key part of how we evaluate events for next year. Next one, landscaping survey. Highlighting Calusa bush trimming over on Marvel Street. Too soon? All right.
You got it.
All right. Sorry, Chris, it's just too soon. So the landscaping, we did a mid-year survey, if you remember. We did one last November. The mid-year survey, we had in 2024, we had 370 people complete the survey responses. We learned that it would be good if we had seasonal owners input as well as full-time, so we split it. So we ended up with 399 responses. So a little bit more responses for the mid-year survey that we just completed. But we were able to actually break them out, like I said, between full-time and then seasonal ownership. We did see, and there's a recap at the end of this, so I'm gonna go pretty quick. As far as general maintenance, I divided the graphs up. So the orange is gonna be what we did in November. The green is gonna be part-time and the blue are full-time residents. So we went from about a 76 to an average up here to about 87. I'd like to see that input or that increase there of the current mowing schedules, meeting expectations and appearance. Trimming increased again by about 6 points, depending on where you looked. That's for trimming and pruning. These are common areas. Halfways to sidewalks, again, we see a big increase for the people who are here full-time, a little bit of an increase for the part-timers, and then common spacing. Weeding, this is gonna be a common theme you'll hear at the end. We have a plan we'll submit for weeding. But we were not at all pleased with the weeding. We knew that it was something we needed to do better. Beach club landscaping, so a good jump there, from 74 to about 83 was the average. Replacement of original landscaping, being prioritized effectively. This is a question we're gonna rework for next time. We think we're doing a good job, but I think we're gonna look for a little bit more detail. Again, the budget prioritization as far as the community resources. It's about 70% of you feel we're doing a good job as far as prioritization. Doing the community resources in common areas, single family. Now we get into single family home general maintenance. We went from about a 63. Now we're up to averages about 72. We've seen some good improvement there. I think in particular for me, I know that the turf maintenance, they've been doing a very good job as far as the turf maintenance. Trimming for single family homes went from 39 to about a 53 or 52, depending on where you're at. We want to see that increase. Ideally, these scores we'd like to see in the 60s to the 70s is where we're going to be ultimately looking. Pruning, such as things around your home. We were at 39. We see now an increase to about 42 for part-timers, 50 for full-time, and we'll get into that in a bit more. Individual driveways, keeping debris and overgrowth, we went from 60 to about a 67, good increase there. Weeding, here's where we saw one of the few decreases for single family. Visual landscape response time, we went from 24. Here we saw a good increase to 32 to 42. So again, they're starting to get better with those as well. And then repair work from 23, we're up to 44 or 33 depending on. Irrigation and watering systems, you do place we need to improve. Budget prioritization. So the summary. So general maintenance improved by about 12%. Trimming improved about 14% in single family homes. Pruning was up by 11%. Patches and debris were up 10%. Weeding at an acceptable level with little to no improvements for single family homes. Response times have improved by 20%. Effectiveness of repairs are up by 22%. And then irrigation effectiveness has seen a 5% improvement. This does not correlate to the significant monies that we put forward for repair spending. But the common area replacement sustained constant as to effectiveness of our expenditures, and the priorities of resources holding steady at 67%. Overall, we've seen good improvements. Really, the weeding and irrigation are the two things we have to work. And that's something that Visions is well aware of it. We've spoken to them now since receiving the results of this. Renee is going to go over some highlights here a little bit. Before we do, Robert, who was our vision superintendent, has left probably about 3 weeks ago now. Bobby, who was on site for about 2 weeks, he's our new landscaping vision superintendent. Seems to have a very good set of communication skills, and we're optimistic that he's going to bring some of these numbers in line. So with that, I'll go over to Renee to talk about the landscape action.
So just as Scott had said, there were 2 areas that we significantly felt that they needed to make improvement in those. And I got to Vision and asked them to put an action plan together. You'll see in pages what that action plan is. The first being the weeding. It's going to come from single family homes. And I won't read through all of this with you, but if you go down to the bottom of the page, you'll see what the action plan is that they're putting in place. So there were a couple of problems that they identified. 2, 3, 4, 5. We have a pH problem here. We didn't realize that. We knew we had it throughout the property in our water sources as well. So every time they're fixing their chemicals, backpack sprayers, we weren't getting the effectiveness of the actual applications that were being mixed. So they've identified that because they were very perplexed as to why all the applications that they were putting down weren't as effective as they've seen on other properties. So that's been identified. So they're using pH conditioners in the water supply, well, as they fill up the backpacks, and they're mixing it all in a tank, and it's being supervised by someone that has a higher degree of knowledge in this area. So that's something that they're going to be doing. They've been trying different types of applications. Some have proven to be a little bit more effective. The one thing that I will tell you is that, everybody's familiar with Roundup, right? Some of the ones, Roundup is something that you typically see an immediate result in your weeds dying. But some of the applications that they're using now that are proven to be now more effective, you're not gonna see that immediate weed killing, okay? It's more of systemic, slower kill, but it gets all the way through to the root better than, say, a Roundup. Well, Roundup a lot of times just burns at the top and we still get the weed coming back. So when they come through and they spray your weeds, be a little patient. You're not gonna see that immediate gratification. It may take a few days before you see these weeds die, so I just wanna bring that to light so that you're not thinking, oh, this isn't working, just give it a few days. The other thing that they're doing as far as the weed application is they're adding an additional person onto the staff for the weed application so that they can be more thorough. They're putting one more dedicated 40-hour full-time person on weed application. So those are the improvements, the action plan that they put together there. The other area that we've been struggling with is the work order process. As you know, you have something going on in your home, you need something taken care of, you key in a work order into the system. We were challenged for quite a while because when DTE was here, Chad had access to the work order system, and then via FSR, they took vendor access away. We fought long and hard, and it took us 8 months to get them to agree and for them to sign off to let the vendor back in, because the problem is Marie would get the work order, she'd have to print it out, give it to the vendor, and the vendor would have to, it was just this huge delay. It was totally unnecessary. So now, not only do they have access to the work order process, but they actually have dedicated someone who is in their office to receive those and distribute them to the different technicians, whether it be irrigation or a weed problem or Bobby or what have you, and disperse them accordingly. So this process is working more efficiently. And then when they're completed, they're going back to this individual in the office for them to do the updates and the closures or what have you. This just takes a lot off of the people that are actually need to perform the work. They take that clerical aspect out from under them so that they can dedicate more of their time to concentrating on the work itself. They have a clerical person that's doing their kind of thing. I think that pretty much recaps it.
One of the things that's important, we're obviously in the middle of a rainy season, so we talk about weeds. There's a little bit of education for even myself. Renee, can you talk about the ingredient they're putting in here so it sticks even when it rains? So let's talk about that.
Yeah, there's different sticking agents, but there are things like polymers that are it's crazy about the technical aspect of that, but they're deploying different types of sticking agents so that during rainy season, you can have someone come through in the morning and spray your weeds, and it's not gonna just wash right off the weeds when the rains come that afternoon. So they've been deploying testing a lot of different things and doing them as well.
Sugarcane mosaic virus. Any updates there?
The one thing I do wanna mention is, I think it was the last board meeting. The last board meeting, we gave you a pretty comprehensive update where we are with that. I did mention that happily, so far, we've negotiated a price per square foot at $1.30. That's where we are today. We have already heard feedback from Vision that the demand has gone up tremendously, so that could change, and we anticipated that. I think we mentioned that to you, supply and demand. We're gonna be subject to, what the price is at the time, but the one thing I do want to mention to you is that we've been made aware that a couple of them, so it's 2 or a dozen that have approached Vision because they're doing significant projects in the yard, whether it be a pool, in a block, there, what have you. And they've gone to Vision asking them for that $1.30 price for the new grass. The one thing that you should know is that is the $1.30, wherever it's gonna remain when we get to the season when we start doing this, is a bulk, significant bulk purchase rate. It's not gonna be one-offs if you're doing your lawn at this point. I think that the standing number now for if you're replacing your sod is somewhere around $1.70, $1.80. So although I've mentioned that $1.30 price, that's when we do a bulk purchase. They can't honor that for just a small project at a home. So I just want to clarify that, if anybody misunderstood that. We'll have to think about it. Now, you know, our timeframe that we have in mind to do our project would be the May, June timeframe. Getting it in right before rainy season and making sure that we're not into rainy season where they can't harvest. Like right now, they can't harvest sod. There's too much rain, so they can't go into the fields and harvest sod. So it's very, very important, you know, when we actually do this project. You may have seen, we pulled a bunch of sod in one of the meetings on Weatherstone in anticipation of doing another test without using leaf killer. Wait a little bit more to do that. So we're 6 weeks out before we can get that sod in because of the field conditions at this point. So at this point, we just tarped it. Just to keep it so it doesn't look totally unholy. So the timing is very, very specific on this and just understand the price differential is a volume discount. Any questions about that?
Okay. Thank you, Renee, for that update. Couple of committee initiatives or updates. Mark, I think you got a Lakes Committee. Would you like to speak on?
Sure, the Lakes Committee is what, let me turn this on. Lakes Committee is working on revising the lake pools and also addressing the issue of the availability of kayaks and how that's going to be controlled going forward. Another issue has come up relatively recently, Solitude Lake Management, the QCA hired them to prepare a lake study that was done last year. One of their major recommendations is that we construct these Georgia cubes and place them in the lake. Dr. Tom, who's here today, helped us build it. This is just a sample one. Dean Dritt of the QC, the Corey CED would like a letter from the QCA indemnifying the QCED for any possible damage or injury that could result from deploying these. Richard DeBose said that sounds like a reasonable request to him, so we're going to be discussing this. The unit here is a PVC frame. It's filled with pea gravel. There's holes in it so it sinks, and should it ever break, I mean, it will be deployed in water that's at least 20 feet deep, so boats won't get it. It's unlikely to break up because it's glued with PVC cement. I was in the pool industry, that's very strong, but should it ever break up, the white PVC would sink. It's heavier than water. This is corrugated drainage tile. This might float. This could possibly float to the surface. It's very lightweight material all outside of the lake. So it seems unlikely that it's really much of a risk to the community or to those that use the lake, and we'll be discussing this matter further. Any questions?
So that's where all the fish will be then, in that one cube?
That's what we're hoping to build 30 or 40 of these this year. You know, we built it pretty quickly and we're gonna get faster, and by, you know, with all the volunteer labor we have, we're gonna save a lot of money and be able to buy these materials wholesale. Building this one costs $200 at retail, you know, wholesale should get the price down.
Great, thank you, Mark. Any other committee reports?
Was temporary
Or questions?
ice raids in Southern California, saying that federal agents cannot target people without reasonable suspicion and using factors like skin color, the language that people speak. Will you comply?
Someone who, yes, someone who's maybe Tom Heaslip or someone who's there should mute their microphone.
It's not me.
Um,
Mark, I was just gonna ask you to remind me and perhaps others of the purpose of the Georgia Cube.
The purpose of the Georgia Cube is it'll grow vegetation and it will attract small fish, which will attract bigger fish. And, the principal goal of the lake study is they found that we had a very unbalanced fish population. We have too many, predator fish and not enough prey fish. It's out of balance. It really got out of balance with the arrival. The peacock bass just showed up here about 3 or 4 years ago. So this will improve the fishing here, but it will also allow us to remove more fish in order to return the lake to a proper balance.
Great, thank you, Mark. Any other committee reports? And yes.
On the board liaison to the asset management. Of chairs. We had a recent meeting, most recent being July 8, where individuals of our committees and establishing thought need to be repaired, cleaned, painted, replaced. And from that, shout out here to Mr. Bob, builder, not even wrong to the surveyed all the links. All surveyed. So thank you for that. That list was then prioritized and provided to Scott. He and his team. So, we're off to a running start.
We're going to send out, an invitation to those that might want to participate. We'd love to have our first meeting in October. So if you're interested in helping chart the course, for the future of the quarry, please consider joining the committee.
Thank you, Mark. Jody, Renee, comments? Yeah. Tom, do you have any comments?
Yeah, the only thing I just wanted to mention, because seems to be a little bit of confusion, is from a rec committee standpoint, just the awareness of the community that Philippe is a seasonal employee and not a year-round employee. And that was, for a variety of reasons, it actually worked out better for everybody because we pay him less amount for the season only. So there does seem to be a little bit of confusion among some of the tennis players of why he's not around enough. He is still available to do lessons if you reach out and contact him, lessons or clinics, but he does not show up every morning as he does do during the season. So that's just the one thing I just wanted to make sure there's some awareness of.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. Comments from online?
no, sir.
Comments from the audience? Today being the most senior ranking member, it would now be your chance to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
At 5:10, I'd like motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? Mark makes a second. All's in favor? And again,
Aye.
we adjourn.
I agree. Thank you, Renee. You get the meetings done a lot faster than I do.
Thank you, everyone. Good job. Oh my God. Yes. Yeah.